Relations Director of the Minnesota Viking Ball Club. We haven't been to Minnesota lately, but we'd like to get the status on your new stadium up there.
Well, I think the most amazing thing about it, it's due to be completed in 1982. The amazing thing is that they're about $11 million under budget.
Under budget?
Under budget.
Under, that's a new word.
Yeah, well, you know, we heard so many stories about what was happening in New Orleans, or what had happened in New Orleans, and it frightened a lot of people. And once they got building it and found that they could build it pretty cheap, it's going to be a great success.
Now, will baseball be played there too?
Yes, it's going to be multi-purpose, baseball, football, hopefully the University of Minnesota, and soccer as well.
This has to be a big a shot for the future for the Vikings, though. In that kind of weather in the winter, to know that the weather conditions aren't going to affect games. Also, you'll have enlarged seating capacity to match some of the other seating capacities around the league.
Yeah, everything's going to be better as far as that's concerned. We're building a new practice facility, which is going to help. Again, we're not going to have to run off to Tulsa or someplace like that to practice, and we do have the big stadium if we need it to practice in. The bigger capacity is very important. It's just going to be a better situation for us all the way around.
And to the immediate world, what about the second half here?
Well, Cincinnati missed so many chances. I wonder if they're going to get any more. You know, the odds are maybe going to swing in our favor a little bit. Our defense is playing well enough. If they wouldn't be making some of those mistakes with penalties, I think we're going to play better.
Thank you very much, Merle.
Thank you, Curt.
Merle Swenson, the publicity director of the Vikings. Cincinnati's back on the field, and the Vikings will be out there shortly. And I'm going to walk over here where I get a little closer, and Jim Marshall and I will review the first half, the statistics, and take a look at what's happening. I think one of the big things that Merle brought up, and we brought up at the end of the half, is 3 times the Vikings, Jim, staved Cincinnati away at the 6-yard line, the 5-yard line, and then the 19-yard line. Cincinnati could have come out with 3 or 4 touchdowns in that first half, but did not. And that's kept Minnesota in this game.
Absolutely. Minnesota's played well, I think, under the circumstances. They've stopped the drive, stopped the scoring when it was important.
Stats show a big dominance for Cincinnati. And I can't remember a Viking team that hasn't moved the ball in offense in this kind of a manner. Usually they at least have scored. They're very seldom shut down like this by either some kind of a running game or the passing game under Tarkin and Kramer. They've been able to pile up a lot of yards and points, but they have really been checked here, Jim, in this first half.
I'd look for that passing attack to open up a little more the second half.
They're going to have to. There's Ken Anderson, who's been engineering the Bengals, playing with a sore knee. And here's Bud Grant coming out. Did he get his duck hunting in yesterday? Huh?
I hope so. Yeah. He'll be in a better mood tomorrow if he did.
I wonder what kind of a coach is he in the locker room at halftime?
Very reserved. They're presenting mostly facts and figures and making corrections. He's not the fiery type that has a lot of conversation for you.
Doesn't get in there and give you the big rah-rah.
No, not at all.
All right. He sends his club out on the field. The score is 7-0. The only touchdown of this game. A 2-yard plunge by Pete Johnson. The Vikings have been outscored, by the way. There's Forrest Gregg. His second tour of duty in the NFL. He coached the Cleveland Browns 3 years. He was a coach up in Canada. The Vikings have been outscored nearly 2-1 in the second half this season. We'll see how they do in this second half. Dan Meyer will kick off, and Cleo Montgomery, number 28, is deep for Cincinnati. Pete Johnson's been the leading ball carrier in the game with 59 yards. Ted Brown led the Vikings with 14 yards. Here's the kick, and it is coming to Montgomery on the 6. 10, 15 to the 20, 25. Up he goes. And he was nearly going somewhere, but suddenly his feet flew out from under him, and he went down. His brother, Wilbert Montgomery with the Eagles, is out with a sprained knee against the Cowboy. Here he is, Jim.
He has very impressive speed.
Trying to make the cut, and he slipped. And he tried to make that cut back to the inside.
He's moving a little fast for the turf.
But anyway, he put him in excellent field position. Cincinnati's ball, first down on their 38. Anderson is the quarterback. The running backs are Alexander and Pete Johnson. Ball is given off to Pete Johnson. Comes through that hole. 50, 45. That's Ohio State throwback. Carried the meal that time.
There's that good interior blocking I've been talking about. They move people in there.
And they can't move Johnson. The 2 or 3 men hit him along the way. Powerful back. Cincinnati first down on the Minnesota 37-yard line. 25-yard run by Pete Johnson, who's on his way to a 100-yard gain. Anderson sets him down. Play action pass. And he threw a bad pass to Alexander. He didn't. That looked like it was shot putting the ball. I've never seen Kenny Anderson throw a pass like that. Not a natural passing motion, Jim.
And he had totally enough time to make a good throw.
Watch his motion now.
You'll see him here. You don't see anyone close to him. He doesn't have a rush at all. Possibly the ball slipped.
Might have. He didn't cock it and whip it like he usually does. Second down, 10. Bengals ball on the Minnesota 37. Curt Gowdy and Jim Marshall here opening of the second half. Dropped by Alexander. That wasn't a lateral. Alexander was so disgusted with himself for dropping the ball. Then he suddenly said, hey, wait a minute, that might have been a lateral. I better get on it, but it wasn't. What he was trying to do is think about running the ball downfield first before catching it.
Sometimes that ball hits you in a bad place, right in the hands.
And that one did, right in the numbers.
Right there.
He hit the 4 of number 40, took his eye off the ball. 3rd and 10 for Cincinnati. McAnally is out. Steve Kreider, a wide receiver, comes on. Isaac Curtis was injured with a hip pointer early part of the game. We have some more injury reports for you. Kreider in motion. And it goes to Pete Johnson. Johnson bumped and belted into 2 players. Fred McNeil, he knocked back a couple yards, but McNeil did not yield any ground. And they're short of a first down. Tommy Hannon got to him also. Timeout on the officials. M.L. Harris, a tight end, has a broken hand today. Bobby Bryant, a dislocated shoulder for the Vikes. And Isaac Curtis, a hip pointer. And none of those players will return. A punt formation now. McAnally will punt for the first time today. That's how well Cincinnati has moved the ball. He had 2 punts inside the 2-yard line last week against Pittsburgh. Eddie Payton is back. They're counting the number of players on the field. They had 10 players. They were short. Now they get the 11th off. Hard to beat somebody 10 against 11. McAnally will just try and pooch this one up there. That's just a little short one. That's in the end zone. Touchback. Minnesota's ball, first down on their own 20. Their deepest penetration of the game, the Vikings, has been to the Cincinnati 27. And outside of that, they have not threatened a timeout on the field. And our score is Cincinnati 7 and Minnesota nothing. When are you guys going to get rid of that Elton John song? That thing's been dead for 6 months. Huh? Mama don't love you. Daddy don't love you. Want me to program your music? Marshall, I'll program your music. We can do better.
We'll sing.
Yeah. Mr. Kramer has thrown how many passes today?
Doing pretty good.
7? That's good. Stay right on Kramer, John. He's the man. He's got to get him moving. There's Tommy Kramer. He has to get this club moving. He's hit 6 out of 8 in the first half for only 58 yards. He's had the 3rd best game of any passer so far this year. That was against Atlanta. 395 yards in the opening game. He hasn't had much of a chance passing today. Robert Miller, number 35, the running back, takes the ball to the 25-yard line of the Vikings, a 5-yard gain. Ran into Eddie Edwards, the left end. It'll be 2nd and 5. The best passing game so far in the NFL this season, 447 yards by Richard Todd against the 49ers. 400 day used to be rare. Now we've already had 3 or 4 of them this season with the lift given to the passing game by the Rules Committee, letting the receivers run free and changing holding around a little bit. Play action pass. Kramer throws back on the screen. That's the tight end Sensor to the 30, 35, 40, and Joe Sensor's out of bounds. That was a well-conceived play, a tight end screen.
You know, Joe Sensor doesn't have tremendous speed, but he's got great hands and he's got great moves. See, Tommy rushed here, and he just gets the ball off.
That's Ross Browner on him. There he goes, Joe Sensor up the sideline. Hey, he went for a first down to the 42-yard line of the Vikings. That play went for 17 yards. They put Rashad to the left. He's caught only 1 ball in the first half. Sammy White coming in motion. They've got to get to Rashad and White if they're going to pull this one out. Kramer throwing deep to Rashad. He's there. Cut it away. The save by Dick Duran. Rashad had scissored in between and was open. And Duran just got to it. He saved the touchdown.
Looks like that ball hit his helmet.
That's Rashad between Riley and Duran. Here comes Duran, number 30.
And it kind of looks like, yeah.
It did. It hit the Duran's
Hit
helmet.
Gerard's helmet.
He's got his head in front of the pass. I don't care how you do it. He saved the completion. But he was upside down. Greg Bright comes out, and Louis Breeden goes in, and now a strong safety. 2nd down, 10. Kramer went for the bomb and just failed on 1st down. 7-0, Cincinnati. Kramer throws under fire, and it's incomplete. Kramer was decked by Reggie Williams, a blitzing linebacker, and he looked like he hit him in the side and got to him. It'll be 3rd down, 10. The Bengals are getting a pretty good rush on Kramer in this game. Minnesota's been sacked once today, and that's 18 on the year. Cincinnati's been sacked none today. They've been sacked only 11 times. Last year, they led the National Football League in their quarterback getting sacked the most, 60 times. So you can see how they've improved their offensive line. 4 down linemen. Michael Clara goes in for the Bengals. Off the shotgun, Browner giving chase. The Kramer flags are down. Browner hits him from behind, jars the ball loose. This Ross Browner can move. As we said, the flags were down on the play. Some kind of penalty was called before he was hit. But I've been impressed with Ross Browner today, Jim.
Ross Browner is a tremendous defensive end. He ran right around the tackle and chased Tommy down.
This may be on both teams.
And
now they're trying to get it straightened out. Obviously a complicated situation, and with 2 or 3 flags dropped. That's the referee, Fredericks. Now he starts from the 42, going back, obviously against the Vikings, to their 32.
Offensive pass interference, number 80, down number 3.
Terry LeCount committed offensive pass interference, number 80. The down will be third down. It's on the 32-yard line of the Vikings. Third down and 20. The score 7-0 Cincinnati. There are the penalties today. Off the shotgun. Kramer throwing deep. And a double coverage on Rashad. He was smothered that time. Riley and Gerard. Minnesota must kick on 4th and 20. Watch Browner here, Jim.
Another tremendous rush. Pushes the offensive tackle right back in Tommy's face.
He never gives up on that rush. He
Never gives up.
Keeps going, keeps clawing his way in there.
Awful lot of desire.
Punt formation. Coleman will punt. Montgomery, Wilbert's little brother, back for the Bengals. Good kick by Coleman. Backpedaling his Montgomery, 11-yard line. Flag is down, 15. You might have a clipping here on 86 Kreider. I'm not sure, but we'll check it. 57-yard kick, by the way, by Greg Coleman. Now, the legal use of the hands, but it'll be penalized. Penalty will go against the Bengals, and they'll be back deep in their own territory. The Vikings forced the ball loose from the Bears last week. 6 turnovers against Chicago, and they'll be trying to jar a turnover loose here right now when we come back with a score 7-0 Cincinnati.
Illegal use.
No, we can't hear it. You bring that music up, we can never hear. Yeah, it's all right. You can't help it. You got to get to the commercial. No, it's just a bum break. I don't think so. I think it was further upfield here. Probably out of our view.
Well,
here.
there's a flag back there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was.
Grab the count, I think.
Yeah.
may have dragged him. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's Cincinnati's ball on their 6-yard line when we return.
It's like he's reaching for him here.
That's it right
Yeah.
there, yeah. More like a clip than the legal use of the hands. Watch this. Here's a penalty against Kreider. See him stick that right arm out, and it looks like he grabbed his right leg, but actually it looked more like a clipping than a legal use of the hands, but it's a penalty anyway. That set the Bengals back to the 6-yard line. Grabbed his arm, too. There he is, grabbing his arm. First down, Cincinnati. They have fumbled the ball away only once this year. The Vikings, there's Alexander. Alexander spun down at the 8. Number 45 wrapped him up, Tommy Hannon, the safety man. And the Vikings have lost the ball only once this year on a fumble. New England leading Baltimore 10-7. Second period, that's a great matchup there. Burt Jones against Steve Grogan. Second down, 8. Seven to nothing, Cincinnati in the lead. Early in the third period. Johnson banging ahead. Let's check his yardage now. Pete Johnson. He's the leading ball carrier in the game. He's done it mostly up the middle, but he's had some good holes to run through by that offensive line. He's now gained 89 yards rushing, Pete Johnson. On the 13-yard line of the Bengals, 3rd and 3. Anderson to throw. Runs out of the pocket. First down, I believe. He's got a bad knee. 27 hit him, John Turner, and Dennis Johnson, the rookie, has a bad knee. I know he didn't want to run. Now he's limping around.
Minnesota needs more pressure up the middle. That middle is opening up. Gave him the running room.
A few years ago, he'd scramble out of there for a big gain, Jim, but he can't do it anymore. Just trying to protect his knee. Alexander's out. Archie Griffin's in. On the 17-yard line of the Bengals, a first down. They're ahead in the game, 7-0. That time he had the coverage, a rush. He threw for the completion, though, and he threw under the gun to 84, Don Bass. A lot of pressure this time from Duck White.
Right away on the line of scrimmage.
72, Duck White nailed him as he let the ball go.
That was a tremendous rush.
Deacon Turner comes in as a running back. They have moved the yardsticks up. It is now on the 29-yard line. With an injured player here, we'll take time out. Cincinnati ahead of the Vikings, 7-0. Studwell.
See who it is?
No, I don't know yet. It's not stuff. It's not stuff.
Give me some scores up there. Scores.
I think he's up here.
Good. That's Sanders, Ken Sanders going off. Seattle leading, the Jets leading Seattle 14-3 in the third period. There's Miami over Buffalo 14-7 in the third period. Jets went 5 in a row without winning, and now suddenly they're bouncing back. Dallas and Philly tied 10-all in the end of the half. He's going to the locker room, Ken Sanders. Green Bay and Cleveland. The Browns 10, Green Bay nothing. Second period. Washington 23, the Cardinals nothing. Washington's been disappointed. They're erupting today. New Orleans 14, Atlanta 7. 2 touchdown passes by Archie Manning. The Bears over the Lions 7-0 in the first period. Denver over Kansas City 14-3 in the second period. And we gave you the New England Baltimore score 10-7. New England. First down, Cincinnati on their 29-yard line, ahead in this game, 7-0. Johnson dropped at the 31-yard line of the Bengals, a 2-yard gain. It'll be second down and 8. Now this is Jim settled into sort of a, well, working with me today, Jim Marshall, ex-great. This is the 400th game that the Minnesota Vikings have played in their history. Today, number 400. Second down, 9 from their 30 as Kenny Anderson under the gun. Let him come through. Picked up by Pete Johnson on the screen, and he runs it for a first down. The ball nearly hit the playing surface, but not quite on the pass.
Looks like a screen pass. There's an excellent rush. It did almost hit the ground.
Anderson did a good job, Jim, of acting on that. Let him come in on him, set up the screen. And Pete Johnson's done it all today. He's been the outstanding back on the field, rushing, catching the ball. Now it's Deacon Turner and Charles. Of course, Greg is alternating his running back. First down, Cincinnati on their 43-yard line. The pitch is to Alexander. He cuts 45, 50. Still going. Minnesota 45-yard line.
Smart play. Alexander runs right through the pursuit. He catches him at an angle here and runs right through the pursuit. You can see the pursuit coming over.
They were angling too, but they weren't there to make the stop the first 2 or 3 men. They
Right.
were still trying to get their angle in front of him. Burt Jones just passed to McCauley. 4 yards. Baltimore leads New England 14-10 now. There's the pitch to Deacon Turner. The Deacon is wrapped up and goes down on the 43-yard line, but a penalty flag was dropped, and it's holding against Cincinnati. So that'll put them back on their own 45-yard line, Cincinnati, and make it first down and 20. History, the Vikings' 400th game today. Jim Marshall played in 393 of them. Missed 7 this year, Jim. Jim is partially in a wheelchair, by the way, and he'll be out of the whole thing pretty soon.
Offensive holding, number 78.
That left tackle. You might have read a couple years ago in the Grand Tetons, my native state of Wyoming, Jim Marshall. Some of his guys were up there and got caught in a blizzard in their snowmobiles and nearly lost their lives. Finally got out alive. Bad place to be in a blizzard, I'll tell you. On 1st and 20, Anderson fires. It is incomplete. Then recently, Jim Marshall, who's always led a very unique life, an adventuresome life, was in a motorized hang glider that crashed, compound fracture of his leg, broken arm, 3 broken vertebrae. How are you feeling now, Jim? Are you on the way to complete recovery? Are you going to have any, what do the doctors tell you?
Well, the doctors tell me I'll be walking this fall, and this spring, and I'm walking now. So I'm just a little ahead of, where they thought I'd be. So I'm anxious to get back into it.
Well, you ought to be grateful you're alive. 2nd down. Pass out to Archie Griffin. Griffin pulled down at the 50-yard line. What's next for you? I mean, when are you going to settle down and take it easy, man?
Let's not talk about it.
Okay. Oh boy. There and let the kids do it, Jim.
Yeah,
I learned that a long time ago. Let the kids do it.
I don't have an awful lot left.
3rd and 15. Cincinnati on the 50-yard line. They're ahead 7-0. 6:19 to go in the 3rd quarter. Flag is down. May have had either a legal delay or a false start.
Ken Sanders has dislocated an elbow.
Right. Now we've had some injuries today. Bobby Bryant dislocated shoulder. Sanders dislocated elbow. Isaac Curtis a hip pointer. And M.L. Harris of the Bengals, a reserve tight end, a broken hand. 4 injuries. Illegal procedure. It's back to the 45-yard line of Cincinnati. Makes it 3rd and 20. 13-0. 42-yard field goal by Don Cockruff. Browns over Green Bay. This Central Division of the American Conference may be wide open this year. Short pass to Pete Johnson, spun around and goes down at the 48-yard line by Scott Studwell. Anderson just released that ball in time.
Both ends get a good rush on this. You see him putting a lot of pressure on him.
Now it's a punt formation. The deep man is Eddie Payton. McAnally for his 2nd kick. Averaging 42 yards a kick this year during the season. But he had a 32-yarder. And he's only punted this game. High spiral. It is going to bounce and go into the end zone for the touchback. Vikings ball, 1st down on their 20-yard line. And They have not had any field position at all in this third quarter. Wait a minute, we have a flag down. A flag was dropped along the line of scrimmage. Maybe one of the interior linemen. The widest man on each side of the field can go at the snap of the ball. The other men have to remain there until the ball is kicked. That new rule was put in, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, and they had to learn the timing of it, those interior linemen.
Illegal formation. Less than 7 men on the line of scrimmage by the kicking team. Refused. First down.
There's an old, we talk about a new rule. There's an old rule. You must have at least 7 men on the line of scrimmage. Cincinnati didn't, and the Vikings declined the penalty, and there's the score. What?
Not enough people on the line of scrimmage.
They only didn't have 7 men on the line of scrimmage. You might, yeah, you can see the 3 guys back off, 3, 4, 5, and 6 up. That's right, you'll see it right there. 3 men along the 50, the blocker for the punter and the punter, 6 men. They've got in, yeah, and Swilly and Yeri are out. Gary's been holding a lot this year, Jim.
By Isaac Higgins.
Notice the wide man on the top of your screen is back of the line of scrimmage. See 3 men along the 50. The blocker for the punter makes 4 men, and the punter makes 5. There are only 6 men on the line of scrimmage, which is the 49-yard line of the Vikings. They did not have 7 men there, and that's what the flag was dropped for. There's Forrest Gregg, former great player with the Packers under Vince Lombardi, the head coach of the Bengals. Minnesota's ball, first down on their own 20-yard line. Cannot get their offense going. Give it to Ted Brown. Brown escapes outside, and he's close to the first down. He was belted out by number 56, the rookie Ron Simpkins. Let's see where they spot him out. Ted Brown, averaging 4 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns this year. North Carolina State, number 1 draft pick to the Vikings last year. And they do have a first down on their own 30-yard line. Only once have they penetrated into Cincinnati territory. That was early in the game. Ted Brown again. Pile up. Brown's hit by Jim LeClaire, the veteran linebacker of 9 years to North Dakota. Terry LeCount coming in. Play from Bud Grant. Cincinnati ranked 5th in their conference in defense against the run. They may be ranking even higher as the season goes along, Jim, the way they're playing against the run.
I have a lot of respect for them.
Yes, sir. Second down, 9. Kramer, play action pass. Shoots it out. It is deflected away. It was intended for Terry LeCount. Deflected by the linebacker, Ron Simpkins. And Kramer throwing under pressure again. There's Simpkins, number 56. Of course, you worry about a rookie on pass coverage, a linebacker.
You see Tommy being rushed here, just an awful lot of pressure on him. I don't think this ball should have ever been thrown. Thrown right into the heart of their pass defense.
Yeah, they had 3 men on LeCount. Third period. 10-10, Dallas and Philadelphia. 4-man rush. Kramer's pass. That's complete. And he should have the first down. Sammy White on the reception. Grant is pointing something out there. 43-yard line of the Vikings. As they're starting to move now with their passing game. Here's LeCount bringing a play on. Kramer has 7 touchdown passes this season. Bradshaw and Fouts lead the NFL with 13. Jefferson, the most receptions by a wide receiver. John Jefferson of San Diego, 33. Ted Brown hitting ahead. To his 45, ran into Wilson Whitley and Ross Browner. Every man in that front 3 of the Bengals has been a #1 draft pick. By the way, we noticed their socks are pulled up tight today. They were fined $100 each, 10 Bengals, for droopy socks. General Manager Mike Brown, Paul Brown's son, said, "We understood and we agreed on the purpose of the dress code, but it's getting a little overdone. It's like you could call holding on every play." The league didn't like the way their socks hung. Green Bay's come up with a touchdown, 13-7, third period. Hicks is in now. Quarterback Dickey ran for that touchdown for Green Bay. Timeout. Called by the Vikings. Our score, 2:49 to play in the third period, is Cincinnati 7 and Minnesota nothing. That timeout on the Vikings. They have 2 left. Hand me those league statistics, will you? They're still around. Where's the one that's got the league defense and everything? I hate to tell you this. They call these cheerleaders the Bengals. Bad. The Bengals.
I won't touch that one.
No. 53-yard punt recovery by Jesse Green. Seattle scored. Jets lead Seattle 14-10 in the third period. All right, second down. 8 to go. Kramer with Ross Browner changing him. Here's a screen. Miller gets away, loses the ball, and recovers it. Again, Ross Browner right in there on Tommy Kramer.
He's having a great day today.
Well, I was talking to Paul Brown, Jim, before the game. I said, "Who's played especially well for you this year?" He said, "Ross Browner is putting it together, Curt. He has been tremendous for us."
And that Eddie Edwards is a great
Yes.
football player too. You know, he can run a 4.6 40.
Isn't that something? Eddie Edwards, he weighs 260. 4 men now in there. Mike St. Clair joins Edwards, Whitley, and Browner with a 4-man rush. There's Denver leading Kansas City 14-6. And Breeden is the 5th extra back. They got 1 linebacker left. Third down. Kramer throwing deep. It'll be over the head of the receiver. That was Terry LeCount. Ken Riley chasing him. Kramer had to throw the ball sooner than he wanted to, though.
Another tremendous rush. I tell you, these Bengals are coming.
They played a game that time. They're playing a game. That's the left
Eddie Edwards.
Eddie Edwards, but they had played a game there with St. Clair and Whitley looping around each other. All right, the deep man here is Montgomery. Punt formation is Coleman. And the Bengals defense has been a standout. Coleman kicks it. Montgomery waits for it. Cleo takes it on the 15. Comes to the 20. Stumbles and goes down. We'll see where they spot him. They'll put it on the 25 and a half. 47-yard punt by Greg Coleman, who is booming them. Cincinnati with a first down, 1:38 to go in the third period. And they're still holding on to that 7-0 lead. They have dominated possession and the clock today. They were turned back 3 other times by a valiant Viking defense. Pete Johnson tried his right guard, picked up a couple of yards. Give him a yard only on the 27-yard line. Mark Mulaney made the hit on him, the left end. Second down, 9. 17-7 now, Miami over Buffalo. Miami was an underdog. They had beaten Buffalo 20 times in a row. Buffalo opened the season by beating Miami after a long drought. Now Miami coming right back in the Orange Bowl. Anderson, a quick flip to Pete Johnson. Johnson trying to search for the first down, can't get it. He was held up at his 35-yard line by Jeff Seaman, a 9-year veteran, Stanford. He's been a standout in that position, Jim Marshall, hasn't he?
He's been a standout ever since I can remember.
Well, what was your impression of him when he came in as a rookie from Stanford, sort of an Ivy League school?
Well, tough. He was tough. I tell you, Jeff's got good mobility. He's got good hands, and he's a very intelligent football player. Very intelligent for the middle of that line.
Stanford has good football, not a lot of depth, but they always turn out 2 or 3 players a year that make the pros. There's Johnson, and he has the first down. Pete Johnson. We're coming to the end of the quarter. The clock stops with 9 seconds to go. I said he had the first down. Maybe he doesn't. Do they want to measure? Yes. Minnesota in offense ranked 4th in passing in the National Conference, but they have been shut down today. They were 13th in the run, next to last. On defense, Cincinnati was 4th against the rush in their conference and 6th against the pass. They've done even better than their seasonal statistics show. So that's the end of the third quarter. With the score, the Cincinnati Bengals 7 and the Minnesota Vikings nothing. We now pause for a word from your local station. Yeah, we're all right. Give me a little coffee, hot coffee.
How's your coffee? Want some?
Why? Well, you got to interview somebody. You've got a couple. Don't you have any stations in Ohio? You have, I think you have Cleveland, don't you? Youngstown. Yeah.
Shit.
That you just started. Everybody does that. Every game knocks something over in the booth. You might get Forrest Gregg on. Curt Gowdy and Jim Marshall. Jim making his television debut here, the ex-Viking great defensive end, with us today, and we welcome him here to the CBS telecasting booth. We're going to the fourth period. It's a first down. Cincinnati has the ball on their own 36-yard line, and they're ahead 7-0. Kenny Anderson throws to the wide receiver, Don Bass. It's a completed pass. He's been the leading receiver in the matter of catches in the game. Isaac Curtis had the longest reception, 40. That's the 6th reception for Don Bass. Curtis then hurt his hip and had to leave the game. 4 injuries today, 2 in each club, knocked players out of this game. That was good for only 6 yards, a 2nd down 4. Bass has 6 catches for 55 yards, and Kenny Anderson been playing a controlled passing game. He has 18 out of 24. Up the middle. The short one, Pete Johnson, nailed at the 45-yard line by Mark Mulaney and Duck White, the left end and left tackle. Very obvious, Jim, the Cincinnati strategy now is control the ball and try to hold on to that 7-point lead we have.
Minnesota has to get more penetration.
Going out is Max Montoya, the young right guard of UCLA. Now the Bears ahead of the Lions, 10-0. Bears got a field goal by Thomas and a 1-yard run by quarterback Vince Evans. That could scramble this division up. Lost by the Lions. Anderson, a blitz on him, throws it. Bass has it. He's on the way. Kenny Anderson read the blitz for the touchdown. They blitzed him and he read it. He just unloaded the ball. He read the blitz perfectly.
Read it perfectly.
Watch it. They're all coming on him.
He's got a good rush. You see the blitz coming in. They're on him.
The
But
safety
he
man.
read it.
Safety blitz. Bass was there where the safety man used to be. Tommy Hannon was blitzing, and the old veteran Kenny Anderson, a smart player anyway, read it all the way and heaved the ball to Don Bass, his 7th catch of the game. Scoring drive of 74 yards. There's Bass, 84. Now the kick by Sunter will be attempted with Levenseller holding. And the kick is up. It is good. Flag is down. Talk it over. Well, sometimes you live by the blitz or you die by the blitz. They sent the safety man in after Anderson, anticipating the pass. It's against the Vikings. Cincinnati's going to decline it.
After discussion, there was no foul. The point is good.
After a discussion, there was no foul. Somebody threw a flag inadvertently, and the point is good. And Mr. Bass is the pass receiving star of this game, and the Bengals are on top, 14-0.
Bomb, he drew a big bomb. He's a pretty big guy for a quarterback.
Just got rid of it. Yeah, we'll let Jim talk about it. Safety blitz.
You know, that safety blitz is always a calculated risk. You know, you're gambling that they're going to get to him before he can get the ball off.
45 is the safety man.
Yeah, you can see Tommy Hannon coming around here. He's got a good rush on him, but he just doesn't get to him before he gets that ball away.
Well, some other quarterbacks might not have read it that quickly, Jim.
That's right.
There's how wide open Bass was. Longest play of the year for Cincinnati. Sunter will kick off. 14 minutes to play for the Vikings, and they have to get going. That's Payton coming out to the 25, to the 30, 35. Excellent return by Eddie Payton. Walter Payton's brother. He brings the ball out to the 38-yard line. And now I think it has to be, Jim, bombs away.
It's got to be. He's got to look for Rashad, and he's got to look for Sammy White. Tommy Kramer's got a job cut out for him now.
And they have not been able to get the ball to Mr. Rashad today. He has caught only one pass. And Sammy White's caught 3. But Rashad has been held to only 1 reception. It's a big story of this game. Vikings on their own 38, first down. Kramer goes to work. They protect him. Ted Brown, the running back, has the ball, and a first down, it looks like, out to the 49-yard line of the Vikings. Now, when we say bombs away, that doesn't mean that Kramer just runs back there and throws a long pass every time. He's got to...
You got to set it up.
Set it up. He's got to take what the defense is. They give him short, he has to go short. Can't force things. He has plenty of time, lots of time left in this game. First down for the Vikings on their own 49-yard line. They're trailing 14-0. That's Sensor, the tight end, in motion. That ball's tipped. It was tipped at the line of scrimmage. They were trying to get it out to Sensor. And Ross Browner, the third-year defensive end who was playing some game today, tipped it, number 79.
He's smart. Hands up. That's one of the most important things you can do when you rush in there. If you get your hands up, you've always got a chance to hit that football. You can see Browner getting his hands up as he gets rid of Riley here. And he tips it.
Look at that. Right up there. It's like trying to throw it over the goalpost.
Tremendous football player.
10. Minnesota on their 49. Kramer up into the pocket to Ted Brown. Brown, early corral. Hey, there's a great move by Ted Brown. They had him trapped, Jim.
Great individual effort.
He goes to the Cincinnati 38-yard line.
See Teddy Brown get this one, and this is great individual effort. He makes the moves here and gets free. Makes a first down.
39-yard line of Cincinnati. The Vikings' deepest penetration of the second half. They're trailing 14-0. Kramer, wide open receiver. Sammy White at the 25. Stumbles and goes down at the 22 or 21-yard line. Now Kramer's moving that ball club. Sammy White has his 4th reception. LeClaire and Simpkins, the linebackers, had to bring him down on the 21-yard line of Cincinnati. Kansas City has scored a 26-yard pass. Quarterback Steve Fuller to Dixon, 14-13 Denver. Atlanta over New Orleans, 14-13. Kramer. Oh, he just gets the ball in a crossing pattern. Bob Tucker was open. Ball was thrown high, a little bit behind him. But they had him open on that tight end crossing pattern. Yep, threw it behind him.
Just
and high.
behind him, yeah.
He was there, though. Green Bay has gone ahead of the Browns. 1-yard run by Jerry Ellis. Green Bay leads Cleveland 14-13 in the third period. He threw it away. Nobody open. A year ago, he wouldn't have done that.
That's a smart play.
Yes, sir. He threw it away purposely. Just sailed it over the head of the receiver who was covered out of bounds. Watch this. He had the time, but there was nobody open. Now he sees, he's looked the whole field over, and he just throws it away. Jets 17, Seattle 10, a 22-yard field goal by Lay. 4-man rush now by Cincinnati. 6 defensive backs in there. 3rd down and 10. Kramer fumbles the ball. Vikings recover it, but the whistle had blown dead. at the 28-yard line.
And that's at Ross Browner again.
Ross
He's
Browner
got it.
again in on him. Ross Browner.
He's actually blocked on this play. You'll see him go down, and he gets up and still makes the tackle.
There he is, Ross Browner, the outstanding defensive man on the field. 4th down. Vikings ball on the 27-yard line of Cincinnati. They're trailing 14-0. 4th and 16. They're in a shotgun with 3 wide receivers. They need a touchdown to get back in. The pass is deep, and it is intercepted by Louis Breeden. Breeden down, it'd have been better off. But it's not much. It's 7 yards difference. I thought he might have been on the 1-yard line when he caught it. Breeden intercepted it in the end zone. Touchback, and the score with a timeout, 14-0 Cincinnati. Minnesota. Well, they got to get 2. They kick a field goal. They still got to get 2 touchdowns. See, they kick a field goal, score a touchdown. They're still 4 points behind. Another field goal won't do them. What is this cable doing up here? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. You see, they still needed 2 touchdowns. Louis Breeden, number 34. Let's watch this play now. Off the shotgun.
Yeah, Tommy gets rid of the ball. He's looking for the bomb. It's the only thing you can do when you're 2 touchdowns behind right now. You got to score a touchdown, and he's looking for it. Looks like the receiver slips here.
Yeah, he went down. That was Breeden that vaulted high in the air to pull it down in the end zone for a touchback. There he is, Louis Breeden, number 34. First down, Cincinnati on their own 20-yard line. They're in front, 14-0. 10 minutes, 49 seconds left to play. They send Pete Johnson up the middle for short yardage. Both Cincinnati wins this year have come against Pittsburgh. They've lost to Tampa Bay, Miami, Houston, and Green Bay. Teams which all have a record of 500 or below coming into this weekend.
Each one of the losses have been by 5 points or less, so they could just as easily have won all the games.
That's what, yeah, they could have been 5-1 or 6-0. I think if, though, Jim, in your career, you know, if is the biggest word in pro football. If you've done this, if you'd have done that. 2nd down, 8. Kenny Anderson throwing the bomb, and it is incomplete. He's trying to hit Bass with it, and Bass is being covered all the way by John Turner, the cornerback. It'll be 3rd down, 8. Bengals last week broke an 18-game home field winning streak by Pittsburgh, and the first time they'd ever won at Three Rivers Stadium, the Bengals. Forrest Gregg called it my greatest coaching victory. Alexander for 3rd down, perhaps passing play. Just over 10 minutes left to play. Backs are out. Archie Griffin has it. They're right on him. They drop him for a loss. That's John Turner, Miami U of Florida. And Cincinnati must punt, and the Vikings will be trying to come back on the attack again. McAnally in punt formation. McAnally from De Harvard. Kicking to Eddie Payton. Bengals say it used to seem funny to go on a road trip. McAnally lugging Shakespeare around with him. Are they going in, or will they peel back?
They're going to try to block this.
They're going to try and block it. They nearly did. They didn't run into the... Payton wiggling away at the 40, 45. And, I mean, he took his life in his hands that time. They nearly had the kick blocked. There's a flag down back. Maybe they did run into the kicker.
They ran into the kicker.
I didn't think they ran into him hard enough. He didn't drop the flag immediately, the referee. Did not drop it immediately. If this is running into the kicker, this sometimes is the costliest penalty in football because it means you were giving the ball up and then you get it back again with a chance to freeze some more time away. And this is what it is.
Defense running into the kicker. First down.
Automatic first down. There's McAnally. He kicks it. He was sort of blocked. The Viking player was blocked into him. But the way the official called it. So Cincinnati gets the ball back again. They'll have a first down. And they're in the lead with 9 minutes to go. 14-0. I thought that was sort of a bad call.
I think that's a terrible call.
Yeah, Holloway was blocked into him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was blocked from behind.
It looks like he was blocked into him, though.
Yeah, that's it. When you're blocked into him, that's the different matter. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
All right.
We'll take a look at that running into the kicker after this play. The Bengals ball, first down. Curt Gowdy and Jim Marshall here from Cincinnati. 14-0 Cincinnati. Good running that time. They stay right in there. Here it is now, Jim. I think Holloway was blocked into him.
Looks like he was blocked right into him. He had a good chance of blocking the kick, but he goes over the man that's blocking on him.
All right, that's the watch. Here he comes. And from behind, he reaches up. But the momentum put on by a Bengal player from behind.
From behind, yeah.
But they call it running into the kicker. 31-yard line. Second down. Short yardage. Pete Johnson again. He's getting close to 100 yards of the game. And they stop his forward motion. Here's another score. Herrera kicks a field goal for Seattle. Jets 17, Seattle 13, fourth period, 8.5 minutes to play. And exactly 100 yards for Pete Johnson now in this game. That's the first 100-yard game for Cincinnati by an individual in the 1980 season and the fourth of Pete Johnson's career. Third down and about a foot to go. There he is, Pete Johnson, ex of Ohio State. Always fighting a weight problem. Alexander. Charles Alexander may have the first down on his jump. Momentum up in the air. And they say he does have the first down. It's a good one for Cincinnati because they can use up more time. There's Pete Johnson. He and Archie Griffin teamed together under Woody Hayes at Ohio State. And they both scored a lot of touchdowns. It's on the 35-yard line of Cincinnati. First down, 14-0 in favor of the Bengals. Charles Alexander reels off 6 more, goes to the 41-yard line where he ran into Dennis Johnson and Doug Sutherland. New England's come back now to take the lead. Don Calhoun ran 19 yards for a touchdown. New England 17, Baltimore 14. Baltimore's lost 2 close games this year to Houston and Pittsburgh, and that's it. They beat Buffalo, knocked them out of the undefeated ranks last Sunday. 2nd down, 4. For Cincinnati on their 41, very deliberately coming out of the huddle, trying to use all the time they can. Pete Johnson straight ahead. He's been a load today for the Vikings. Look at this. 3rd period, the Bears 17, the Lions nothing. Unless the Lions rally, they'll suffer their 2nd loss in a row. No, they came back. Doug Martin, the number 1 draft pick, is in it right in now, replacing Randy Holloway. 1st down for Cincinnati on their own 46. Just sheer old-fashioned straight-ahead power right now. For the Bengals. No opening that time for Johnson. Maybe a yard or 2 as he untangled. These clubs have met twice before. Cincinnati beating the Vikings 27-0 here in '73. The Vikings won 42-10 the next time in Bloomington. That was 1977. And during that '77 game, I know Jim Marshall will remember, Fran Tarkenton broke his leg and was relieved by a youngster named Tommy Kramer, who directed the Vikings to 3 fourth-period touchdowns. That was one of the few times that Tarkenton was ever injured. 2nd down, 9 on the 47-yard line of Cincinnati. Anderson throwing a pass, and it's held on to a great catch there by Pat McAnally.
It was a great catch.
Great catch. Well, he's got the hand. He's not very fast. Look at Ken Anderson run down the field to shake hands with him. Watch this catch, Jim. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
McAnally comes out and gets a hand. Ken Anderson went down up and said, hey, that's what makes passers look great. Anderson, what a day he's had. 21 out of 28. Flag is down. Alexander brought down. He had the greatest single game in the history of the NFL. 20 out of 22 one afternoon. Ken Anderson, the best percentage day ever. 20 out of 22. Offside against the Vikings. Today's 21 out of 28. That's not bad. This looks like Kenny Anderson I used to see 5 years ago, Jim.
Oh, yeah. He's got the horses.
Defensive encroachment number 79, lined up in the neutral zone. 1st down.
Doug Martin lined up in the neutral zone. Encroachment. The rookie defensive end who was a holdout. Well, that gives the Bengals the ball on the 34-yard line. Of Minnesota, 1st and 5. Pete Johnson was hit by number 27, John Turner, playing right cornerback now, and he brought him down. Johnson, the leading ball carrier in the game, has gone over 100 yards. It's spotted at the 32-yard line. He now has 110 yards. 2nd down and 2. So that running into the kicker was a costly penalty for the Vikings.
Very costly penalty.
They had the ball. They had stopped them 3 previous plays. They had about 10 minutes to play. Since then, Cincinnati just kept eating the time up. Archie Griffin now in the game. There he is. The tailback in the eye now. But they give the ball to the short man. Johnson. Johnson's to the 29-yard line. They're asking for time to measure for a 1st down. Cincinnati has had a well-balanced attack today with the run and the pass. Throughout the National Football League, more teams are now gaining yards throwing the ball than running it. First down. Cincinnati on the Viking 29. Time remaining 3:22. The score 14-0 Cincinnati. 7 years ago, NFL teams gained more than half their yardage on the ground. Last year, 60% in the air. This year, 63% in the air for total yards gained. Pete Johnson getting 2, 3, 4 yards every time he cracks inside those guards.
He's not only eating up the ground, he's eating up the clock.
He certainly is. That was a 3-yard gain to the Minnesota 26, 2nd and 7. That's Bass, the wide receiver from University of Houston. There's Pete Johnson, one of the best games of his career today in his 5th season. Bass spreads to the left, McAnally to the right. Archie Griffiths scooting off right tackle to the 24-yard line of the Vikings. We're approaching 2 minutes to play. This is almost a Chinese water torture. Drop by drop, the Bengals, yard by yard, keep holding on to it and using that time up. I can't imagine a more frustrating position when you see teams like the Vikings are. They can't get the ball back. They want it so badly. 2-minute warning. The score, Cincinnati 14 and Minnesota nothing.
Talk to me, Chucky. Talk to me, John.
Yeah. And by the way, Chuck.
Okay.
And by the way, Kenny Anderson's always a gracious guy. You know. Yeah, Kenny, if you're worried about the Viking network, Anderson is a gracious guy. Huh? All right, can you guys check on something for us? Minnesota may have inadvertently called timeout. We don't know for sure. They did not. That's the score, 2 minutes to play. Somebody just handed me a Green Bay score where Green Bay had gone ahead. Green Bay now leads the Browns 21-13. Lynn Dickey, 26 yards to James Lofton. Green Bay was supposed to be terrible this year, and now they're coming along, Jim Marshall. They're playing good ball lately.
Yes, they are.
And Minnesota plays them in Green Bay next week. Lynn Dickey, what a story that is. That man has had so many injuries, a fractured hip, a broken leg. Everything's happened to him, and he now is enjoying finally first-team duty, and he's doing the job. There's Anderson talking to Forrest Gregg. Seattle has gone ahead of the Jets. 20-17 with 3 minutes to play in New York. Cincinnati will come out with a 3rd and 5, and this has been a story here today. Kenny Anderson, 21 out of 28. 3rd down conversions, 2 out of 10 for the Vikes, 8 out of 14 for the Bengals. Well, yeah, anybody takes an objective look at this game, the Bengals have been impressive, Jim.
Extremely impressive. I'm impressed by the defensive team.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When you shut down the Vikings, that is something. When you shut them out. Doug Martin charged across. They throw the ball anyway. It's intercepted by Curt 25. That was that tricky signal cadence again by Anderson. He had everybody over anxious. Maybe he's even his own teammates. Doug Martin was way across. They're discussing it now.
False start, offense.
That's against the offense that time. I said even his own teammates. He had them. So watch how Anderson gets hit now in this play, Jim.
Doug Martin almost hesitates here,
Ooh,
but he
boy.
gets a good lick on him.
He really did.
Quarterbacks take a lot of punishment.
They earn their money.
They certainly do.
What a wild one that was. Third period, New England 24, Baltimore 21. Horace Ivory, after Jones passed to McCauley for a touchdown, took a kickoff and ran it back 98 yards for a touchdown. That's the second kickoff this year for a touchdown return in the league. One by Hill of the Rams and Ivory for the Patriots today. It is now 3rd and 10. Anderson is chased and is dropped by 77, Mark Mullaney. Mullaney reaching in. We had a flag go down with 1:54. 14-0 Cincinnati. (17-13) Denver over Kansas City, third period. Referee Bob Frederick explaining to the Vikings what the penalty is. There's Pete Johnson. Big game for him. I think this is a motion penalty against Cincinnati.
Illegal motion on the offense. Refused. 4th down.
So they lost the down as the penalty was declined. Line of scrimmage will be the 35 of the Vikings. That's the first time that Anderson's been sacked in the game. That's how good that offensive line has played, especially those two big young tackles, Munoz and White. Punt formation, Pat McAnally, with 1:54 remaining. The Vikings have 10 men at the line of scrimmage. 10 men there, look at them. Nearly 11, they've got to block this punt. And they're offside. Trying to anticipate the signal count.
We'll start. 56 offense.
Offense offside. So back they'll go. Legal procedure. Sipe to Newsom with 6:55 to play. 19 yards. It's 21-20 now. Green Bay over Cleveland. Two field goals by Croft and 2 touchdowns. 21-20. Green Bay against the Browns, and a long time to go in that one, just under 7 minutes. Eleven men up there. There they go. But he gets it away. Wobbly kick. Bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. And carried into the end zone. If he had not touched it, it was coming back.
It was coming back.
It hit on the one. It was coming back upfield. Brian Hicks was down there. A timeout with 1:45 remaining in this game. And it is still 14-0 Cincinnati. Huh? Yeah, right. What do we do if we run over 4 o'clock? Okay. Well, it may be the case. He'll be throwing into the sun, Tommy Kramer. At least his receivers can turn around, though, with their heads away from the sun. There's a break for them. Gary Burley now makes a four-man line for the Bengals. Kramer is hit, and there's Ross Browner on him. Ross Browner sacks him 79. Second sack of the game for Browner.
Well, you can't say enough about that guy.
He has been tremendous.
He never quits. He's got good second effort. Tommy kind of trips here, which makes him hesitate.
That's the third sack of the game for the Bengals. Last week they sacked Bradshaw 4 times. Well, they've had some pressure. Shotgun formation now. Second down 11. Kramer throws. Incomplete to censor the tight end. Again, Kramer was rushed. Doesn't matter what he's in, a shotgun or the old tee. That time it was Eddie Edwards rushing him, number 73.
4.640. I mean, he's a tremendous football player. He's going to develop into one of the truly greats in the National Football League, I think, if he continues what he's doing now.
Eddie Edwards, third down. Clock stops with 1:12 to go. Vikings on their 9. Third down and 19. There it is out. He completes it to Ted Brown. Brown stopped at the 19-yard line, short of a first down by Bo Harris of LSU, a reserve linebacker. They're quickly lining up. It is fourth down and a yard to go. They've got to go for the first down. And he sets, he throws, overthrew his receiver. He had Terry LeCount out in the open and overthrew him down the middle. It'll be Cincinnati's ball. It'll be first down for Cincinnati on the Viking 19-yard line. 45 seconds to go. What is this they're in? They're just to snap the ball to Kenny Anderson. Runs back. Trying to kill the clock away. Vikings don't call time. Down on the 22-yard line. That was an odd formation. Lined up in punt formation on the 19-yard line of the opponent on first down. I've never seen that one.
You know, at this late time in the game, you don't want to get someone hurt. You know,
No.
The best thing to do is just to get the ball and fall on it and run the clock out.
Right. They're down to 12 seconds. They're just waiting for the clock. Cincinnati's won this game. Their second impressive win in a row. They beat the Steelers last week. They've not allowed any fourth period points now in their last 4 games. Here's Forrest Gregg coming off, and the Bengals shut out the Minnesota Vikings. The final score is 14-0. That runs the Bengals to 3 wins and 4 losses, and that'll be the same record that the Vikings have, 3 wins and 4 losses. Vikings will be playing at Green Bay next Sunday. Hank Stram and I will be up there covering that game, while Cincinnati goes to Houston for a big one. Cincinnati could get right back in their division. They keep winning. Well, we'll be back here with a final wrap-up from Riverfront Stadium after this. Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Who's Munoz talking to there? 62, 62 on the Vikes. Brent Boyd. Good young player, isn't he? Brent Boyd. Gosh, that Munoz is going to be right in there for Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good player.
He's good. But I tell you, I'm impressed with Ross Browner and Eddie Edwards.
Oh yeah, they're great.
I'm going to tell you something. Those are two fine defensive players.
Yeah.
You just can't
Thanks.
emphasize
Good job.
how good they played today.
Yeah, they're really good. When's the last time Minnesota got shut out?
Team meeting, and they refused to do it for me.
Okay. How much time do we have? All right, I'm going to ask Jim first his impression of the game. Get me all the scores up there. Get me the shutout. Well, there's the final score, and it's unusual to see no points up there for the Vikings. We're checking the record, but I think it was 1973 the last time they were shut out. But while we're looking that up, let's talk to Jim Marshall, the ex-Viking great for so many seasons. And Jim, your impressions of today's game?
I was very impressed with the Bengals defense. Eddie Edwards and Ross Browner, I thought, played excellent football.
Is that as good a defense as you've seen this year?
As good as I've seen this year.
They had the rush on Kramer. When you stopped the passing game of the Vikings the way they did, they had to have the pressure on him the entire game.
Well, they not only stopped the passing, but they also shut down the running. You got some good, big, mobile football players there, and I think they're going to turn out to be some of the league's great players.
And by an oddity, the last team to shut out the Vikings, the same Cincinnati team, 27-0 in the same stadium right here in Cincinnati. Now we're going to take a look at some of the scores along the way for you, the National Football League. So here we go. Now it's 17-10, Dallas and Philly. They're in the fourth period, and Jaworski threw 15 yards to Smith to put him ahead with 4.5 minutes to go. The winner of that game will take over first place. Green Bay came back, took the lead. Now it's 21-20. Seifert just thrown for a score. They have about 5 minutes to play in that game. Green Bay leading Cleveland. Washington romping against St. Louis today. We should have had a later score on that. We haven't had anything in since the second period. That game's being played in the East. Third period, Miami and Buffalo. Miami 17 and Buffalo 7. And Miami wins a mild upset. Seattle has zoomed ahead of the Jets 27-17. Jodat just ran for his second touchdown of the game. Only 2 minutes to play. Looks like Seattle's in. Atlanta's come from behind to take the lead over New Orleans 20-14. Bortowski passing to Jenkins. New Orleans still to score a win. The Bears shutting down the Lions today. 17-0 in the third period. Another third period score. 17-13 now. Steinforth had just kicked the field goal from Denver. They lead Kansas City 17-13. New England on a 98-yard kickoff return by Horace Ivory went by Baltimore 24-21 midway in the third quarter. That game being played in Baltimore. Los Angeles and San Francisco have not started yet. The Giants at San Diego about ready to get underway, and Tampa Bay at Houston just about ready to start. Cincinnati plays at Houston next week. If they could beat Houston, that would be 4 losses for Houston, 4 losses for Cincinnati. If the Browns lose today, they'd have 4 losses, and the Steelers have lost twice. And there are our credits today for the men responsible for the coverage of the game. Final score 14-0 in favor of Cincinnati. So the NFL on CBS will continue after this word from your local station.